Um, so okay, so Norma, are you there? Norma's network usually isn't so great. But she will be joining us as soon as it's back up. While we wait on her and Buy Black to join the space, I will just do a quick recap of what we spoke about on our very first space, which was directed at the people that are interested in starting poultry farming. Um, so basically, what we do is first Tuesday of the month we would do for upcoming poultry farmers, and then last Tuesday of the month we do for poultry farmers that are already in the game. But since it's the beginning of the year, we thought let's just kickstart, because a lot of people are actually wanting to place their first batches of chicks now. So yeah, that's why we decided that perhaps we should start this week. So the quick recap on that. Um, our topic is the ordering of chicks, brooder preparation, and placing of day-old chicks. So I think what I would cover in that regard would be the stocking rate per square meter. So I hope you guys have pens, or where you would be writing down the notes, because this information, or you will be able to go back to YouTube to recap if you miss anything. So day old chicks, you can start at 50 chicks per square meter, ending at 20 chicks per square meter at the three weeks point. So basically, it means that you keep opening up your space up until it ends at 20 chicks per square meter. And sorry, I was just adding Norma. So basically, before you order, you need to be able to know how much space you have. And with that space, you need to also understand that you must take into account that you can only have 50 chicks per square meter when you're starting out, but your brooding period is 21 days. So it needs to go all the way to having 20 chicks per square meter at 3 weeks. So that's what you need to take into consideration before placing your order of chicks. And you need to also, okay, yes, that's the, and then at grow out phase, which is you need to have 10 to 12 chickens per square meter. So be it if you're using one house, then you need to work with the 10 chickens per square meter. So basically you make your brooding area small based on the number of chicks, and then keep stretching it out up until you have 10 chickens per square meter before you order your chickens, so that you don't feel like now all of a sudden my chickens are growing too big, I don't have enough space, what do I do? So you basically avoiding all of that drama. That's the recap from our first ever space. Okay, so now, basically now, you have to order. The first point is that when you order your chicks, you must order your chicks in advance from reputable suppliers, because you have traceability. um in December we had issues with people ordering chickens because of desperation and the lack thereof of chicks from the people that we're usually buying from. And even if you're using a person for the first time, at least if maybe there's reputation, meaning that there's certain people or certain farmers that have referred you to those people, or maybe it's a store, if you go to a feed store and you order from them and all of that, then you'd be able to go back and get a refund. I know people that got refunds from the fact that they were supplied with cockerels instead of broilers. I know people that didn't get refunds because they bought from suppliers that are not reputable. So you need to order your chicks from reputable suppliers. And then um, once you know that and your house is ready, your chicks are ordered, then you need to start preparing your brooder by cleaning it to the T, spraying the top, spraying the walls. After you clean, obviously, you start by cleaning. I do supply, sorry guys, I'm not selling myself in this space, but I supply chicken air, which is used to clean to clean the chicken house. It's quite amazing. It removes I'm actually going to read it now. I'll post it once we're done. It prevents the buildup of toxic ammonia fumes at ground level. It helps to reduce the respiratory related stress in birds and livestock. So you either clean with such things or viral kill. Some people use jig, some people use J's fluid. So you have to properly clean and just make sure that your house is clean. Even if it's newly built, clean it afterwards because people are working in there with their boots and all of that. After you clean your chicken coop, you let it cool down. Then you put, let's say, maybe 3 days before your chicks arrive, you start laying your sawdust and you keep your lights on. Now you switch on the lights because it needs to be hot. And usually BioBlack would say that you need to check your temperature before you even build the house in that area, what the temperature of the area is. So you must have a what's this thing? A thermometer, which will show you the humidity and the temperature. And you place it in your house, in your brooder. That is the most important, the brooding phase. You place your thermometer in the brooder and you have your sawdust. I usually put newspapers on top of the sawdust or the wood shavings. Some people don't. I prefer to do it because day-old chicks do not know how to distinguish between feed and sawdust. That is the reason why we place newspapers on top of sawdust or wood shavings, not on the floor directly. And then you would then maybe a day before, so your room must already have the warmth, so you must put on the lights, put on the heating up until you get to 30 to 33 degrees room temperature. So when you get in there, imagine a hot day in Pretoria and you get into a room that is even hotter than when you were outside. Basically, that's how hot it needs to be in the brooder because those day old chicks come out of an incubator that is 37.2 degrees hot. You can't now put them at 19 degrees and expect them not to die or crowd and kill each other, because then you would find that they're fighting for heat. You'll find some are under the other ones and then they die. Those are the stupid ways that people actually kill their flock, because now you could have easily avoided that by preheating your room. So then the day before you get your chicks, you have to mix your water with stress pack. You mix your water with stress pack and put it in the room so it adopts the room temperature. So that when your chicks come, they don't get water that is straight cold from the tap. Okay. Um I think brooder preparation. Then I think maybe um let me give Norma so that she can also add something before I just start talking away. Hi Norma.
Hi guys, good evening everyone. Can you hear me now? I had some network issues earlier on.
Yes. Can hear you.
Story of my life. I hope everyone is good. I'm really glad that we're talking about brooding because I've had to a lot would be like some questions with regards to brooding. In fact, there's actually someone that asked me if they can use newspapers as flooring, and I'm glad you touched on the fact that you place newspapers only in the first. I only do it in the first 2 to 3 days max. Where I have the newspapers on top of the wood shavings, and it is for that reason, the fact that chicks don't know the difference between the shavings and the feed. So I think that's something that's very, very important. So no, you cannot use newspapers as your flooring. Absolutely not. That is only just for the first a day or two, just so that your chicks know, okay, this is, a shaving, and this is food. So brooding is also very important. I've noticed a lot of people don't brood. Guys, please do not get into farming unless, or do something or start a farming project unless if you've done your research and you know exactly what you need to do from start to finish. Doesn't only just end at selling the chickens, guys. It's not, don't look too much at selling the chickens. I've seen so many people make mistakes with brooding, and I'm really, really glad. That's why I said this topic is so important. Like Amanda touched, you need to make sure that room is absolutely, can I say, sanitized or cleaned days before, not a day before the chicks arrive. Because imagine the chicks are arriving in an environment that smells like bleach and all these other things. You have to warm up the room. You have to warm up the room. I'm glad you touched on the temperature and thermometers being important. Just putting a couple of infrareds is not good enough, guys. You have to know and record the temperature at different times. And like you mentioned, Buy Black actually says this a lot. You have to know, during the day, because I'm in Pretoria North, close to Hammanskraal, like you said, Pretoria heat, it's very, very hot. So I know outside temperature is like 32 degrees in summer. On average, anything between 28 and 30 degrees every single day. So I need to know, okay, that's the temperature between 11:30 and about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That is when it is actually optimal, heat. And then from then on, the heat drops throughout the day. So you need to be able to adjust the heat, the temperature of the brooder throughout, to accommodate the heat of the surroundings of the brooder. And another important thing that we have to mention is, guys, heat does not displace ventilation. Please. I have seen so many people with coops that are closed up. Those chickens will die. They will die because imagine you are in a room that is 33 degrees and there's absolutely no ventilation. So make sure you can still, there's still adequate ventilation, but also you are trapping the heat inside your coops. Make sure you insulate the coops, if anything, if you need to. If you feel like, okay, I've got infrareds, I've got so many of them, try other heat sources. In fact, there's someone that actually reached out to me in my DMs this week, and I want to try out BioBrick. I'm not sure if any of you guys have actually used it. It looks like something innovative and cool. And I'm always willing to try. And that's how I also bumped into chicken air. That's what I also use to disinfect and clean my coops and prepare for my chickens. In fact, I actually use it almost, throughout the cycle to make sure that I keep the environment as, virus or disease free as much as possible. But I'm not sure if anyone has used BioBrick. Amanda, have you heard of BioBrick?
Yes, I have. And I think it offers 6 hours of heat.
Yeah.
Someone in the broiler association group on Telegram has actually said that they use it, and it's pretty amazing in winter. It works really well for their chicken houses.
Okay, that's great, because I want to try it. I want to get a couple and try them out. And of course, these introducing other heat sources does not mean you also discard the other heat source. Guys, electricity is very expensive. We're not saying throw away the infrareds and just use the BioBrick, because as it lasts 5 to 6 hours. Chicks, if you're in brooding stage, you have to keep that room at constant temperature throughout the day. So if you can use your infrareds and use the BioBrick, and just to try and make it easier for you. But brooding is very important. Having that thermometer is second to none. Do not start raising broilers or think about raising broilers without actually researching the steps from start to finish. Guys, I can't stress this enough. From where you buy your chicks, reputable suppliers. And Amanda is right. A lot of us got hit. I'm one of the people that got hit. And I actually, and crazy enough, is it's because these are mistakes that we make, and we think, oh my God, I can just get away with it just this one time, and you get burnt. I bought 1,000 chickens, and every single one of them. And when I bought them, was also reputable in my regard because he came from someone that had bought from him prior and was really, really vouching from him. So he had a good reference. So then I was like, and I actually had a negative hunch. I remember reaching out to Amanda. I'm like, Amanda, I'm about to buy these chickens from this guy and I'm not sure. And snap, if I had actually followed my gut, I wouldn't have found myself in the shit that I found myself, and excuse my French. But do not make those mistakes, guys. Don't, wait. If I had waited another week, my supplier had chickens a week later. So I got burnt badly. The guy is giving me the runaround. It turns out they were not his chickens. He was also a middleman. When these things happen, when there's a problem, that's when you find out, oh, it's baneng ikule chain. It's actually, he will be like, oh, I'm hatching my own chicks. We've got quality A-grade chicks. Everything is amazing. Oh, let something bad happen. Then now people are pointing fingers. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. No, I bought these chickens. I've already opened the case. It's a whole habahula. So please take that advice very seriously. Buy from reputable suppliers or your supplier. If your supplier doesn't have chickens, wait. Don't fall for the same trap. I'm still waiting to get replaced 11,500 Rand for buying the chickens and let alone feeding them. Because these cockerels are still on my farm. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do with them. I have to feed them. I'm a farmer. I can't just be like, oh, I'll just let them starve and die one by one. Come on. I've been feeding them. So I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do with them. And again, like I was saying, I think I tweeted a couple of times and I was like, yo, my dad had to, pick my head up a couple of times because I'm like, yo, I just feel like starving these things to death. And just they just die. He's like, no, you can't do that. But, just keep feeding them, keep them alive until you figure something out. So that's where I'm at. Hopefully I'll come up with a solution sometime soon. But yeah, that's all I have for now.
Bye, Black. I would say hi, good evening. I think maybe to answer some questions that you've probably also had in your DMs and all of that in regards to the preparation and the ordering of day old chicks.
All right. Thank you very much for the space, Aus Amanda and Norma, and greetings to everyone. Yeah, so this is important. Please do it too often because, like I always say, in the presence of masters, I become a student. So I can just tell you a few things that I'm doing and what I have learned, what I have read, and what I have done in practice. So I do visit a few farms these days because I do get invited to people's farms just to come and check. And then I always say the first equipment you must buy when you're going into broiler farming is a thermometer. A lot of guys laugh when I say that, but then heat is the enemy of chickens, and then cold is the enemy of chicks. So you need to you need to be sure. So I because I meet a lot of farmers, it also becomes difficult for me to make examples. The other day we had a space here, we were talking about people being sold fake chicks. One of them actually called me immediately and said, why am I talking about him? Because that scenario, I've experienced it with more than 6 people, but he thought I was talking about him. I met a lot of farmers who don't have a thermometer, and they have been farming for quite a long time, and they were not even aware that they need one. So I always ask them, so how do you know that your chicks are comfortable? Then they want to cite the experience, uh, the experienced people, because the same people. I mean, if you read articles, they will say to you, your chickens must be at say 32 degrees, but you can also watch their behavior. So you can only be able to identify behavior based on experience, to be honest with you. It's not something that you sit down and say, I've studied a YouTube video, now I know the behavior of a chicken. No, it's not like that. Get yourself a thermometer, put it in the chicken house. If you don't have a chicken house, and let me tell you, farmers like me have records, temperature records of every day, like from the first day of January to the last day of December of last year. I have the records of temperature, and that is the important. It's very important in farming to have a thermometer. because your chickens will die when it's too hot and your chicks will die when it's too cold. And one other thing I've learned lately from another experienced farmer is that if you don't brood proper, your chicks might survive that period because you are like, oh no, I'm improvising. But then you might start experiencing mortality at a later stage. And then you start wondering what happened because I've already passed the stage of brooding. So that is something that I've learned like 3 weeks back, where a guy started losing a lot of his chicks. My brother, I'm just making an example with you. I know you could also be in this group as well. So he lost a lot of chicks, and when I asked him why, he said no, there was a glitch with the with the brooding process, and then he's realized that if you don't brood proper, you will suffer a high mortality rate at a later stage. So don't undermine this. Don't take it for granted. I've met farmers who have 15 years of experience because now I'm still a beginner, guys. Like, really, I'm a baby in this thing. I'm looking at the other speakers as my teachers. So I know a guy who is a consultant. He came to my farm. He's got 15 years of experience, and he just cited that this is not necessary. That's not necessary. I've been doing this thing like this for so many years, and what not. Then I realized that actually you are being lazy because you can just simply get into a shop and pay 80 rand and buy a thermometer, and you can see when it's hot that the chickens are struggling. You see the way they are breathing, that they are struggling. Then automatically you need to introduce a cooling method. How do you know that you need to introduce a cooling method if you are going by experience? Yeah, I can feel the temperature on my hand, that this is proper or is not proper. Okay, so you don't do that. The first thing you buy when you're coming into broiler farming is a thermometer. And then, coming to the subject of today, ordering your chicks. At the moment, I'm driving towards a factory. I'm going to collect pine shavings. I'm not going to collect sawdust. There's a difference, guys, between pine shavings and sawdust. And another method of flooring, obviously, is your wire mesh. But you gotta get the proper one because you don't want your chicks to be stuck in there as well. So now, what I'm doing is I'm I prepare the chicken house. So the chicken house has been without chickens for over 2 weeks, and every day I've been using Virakill. I'm spraying Virakill every day. I'm not going to put in a cycle, yeah, 80,000 rands and lose all my money because I was lazy one day and I failed to sanitize. I'm not going to do that. This is my livelihood. So what I do today is I deliver sawdust. Tomorrow the feed guy is delivering feed. So don't buy chicks unless you have feed. That's a golden rule. Don't do it. Don't buy chicks unless you have feed, and then don't buy chicks unless you have a brooding mechanism. You're not gonna put a blanket over the chicks. You're not going to do that to warm them. So you buy your pine shavings up front. You get your heating or brooding mechanism correct beforehand, and you don't ever receive chicks when you don't have feed on side, because it's an animal's right that it must have food all the time, and it must have water all the time, and it must live in a comfortable condition. So this is where you're going to learn that some people don't love themselves, because if you really love yourself, you're going to take care of your animals. And that is why I believe farmers are loving people. They feel a pain when their animals are struggling. They don't want to see that. So this thing of people who just come in and they start farming and say, yeah, man, I can fix this thing. Yeah, I mean, we've been doing these things for years. My granny has been raising chickens. I've never seen a heat lamp at the farm and stuff like that. No. Another question you need to ask yourself is, are you coming to play games in this industry, or are you coming to make a business, a proper professional business? Are you coming to build a reputable business that tomorrow we can be looked at as proper farmers? So uh, I invest in my business all the time. I have tried various methods of brooding. I have tried the bio brick. I have tried charcoal. I have tried electricity. I have tried your heaters, your element heaters, and I have tried your fan heaters. And I have what else have I tried? I've tried gas heaters, and I do have gas heaters and gas brooders on the farm as well. I have all those various methods of brooding. They are sitting there because, and I also have a generator as a backup. No farmer must farm without a backup power source, because if all those things fail, you can't look your chicks in the eyes and say, guys, I'm sorry, we're not reaching the 32 degrees that Norma and Table Shaker said is required. No, you are a farmer. You are thinking for the animals. You have a bigger brain for a reason. You need to be prepared for all these unnecessities upfront. You need to invest in this thing. If you're not willing to spend your money in it, just don't go into it, please, because then we're seeing a lot of things that are very scary. We're seeing muddy chickens, like you can see this chicken was rolling in mud like a pig. I'm not talking about this farmed pig, I'm talking like a wild pig. You can see it's so gray and brown, and the farmer is so proud posting pictures and saying, I'm a broiler farmer. And I'm like, dude, but honestly, your chicken can be white, it can be pure white, honestly, if you use pine shavings and tan it as often as possible. Yes. Also, Amanda, I can talk the whole day when it comes to chickens. I'll let you take over. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abuti. Um, just to emphasize on what Mr. Black said in regards to the brooding phase being very important because it might lead to mortality at a later stage. Your chickens will die at 5 weeks. When you are already counting your money, your chickens will die if your brooding is done wrong because they won't be able to stand the heat. Remember, a broiler becomes very fat. So the heart is surrounded by fat, everything, all the organs are surrounded by fat. And the heat that you give to them at brooding period is the heat that their body will be having, and the heaviness of their body at 5 weeks. It will be able to carry it if you teach them that where now you are made for heat. So now, if it was cold, then they're going to die of heart attacks. It's the same thing that happens when some people don't do lights out program. Lights out program, yes, it leads to heart attacks, not all the time. I mean, lack thereof of lights out for broilers, not all the time, but majority of the time, it does limit your mortality rate because the organs are not well developed when your chicken is eating 24/7. But if you give it time to sleep, then the organs develop and grow with the body together. So it won't have heart attacks. But heart attacks that are caused by lack of brooding are the worst because your chickens will drop dead, 5 chickens per day, and you will think, "Nya lawyer," but you actually messed it up at brooding. All right. So we have Mr. Jacques as a speaker. And yeah, I would like to give him some time to share his knowledge as well. Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening. Uh, my name is Jacques, and I'm not good in English. I'm a French speaker, but please allow me to speak my broken English, and I hope that I'll try to explain myself very well. Okay, so I'm very happy to hear this discussion about poultry. It is I'm new in this business, and right now I'm in Uganda. And to come in this business, it was like a revolutionary. I was so mad. I was so upset about what I saw when I was in Kenya. I went to visit a farmer, and I find that day because I was looking for eggs. So when I reach in that farm, I find like 69 chicks, chicken already, those dead. And that things pushed me to ask, to try to understand why those chicken died. And they told me, no, it's because of It is because of disease and the medicine they was getting. There was some vaccine they were supposed to get. I think they didn't respect it. There was other things. I think a medicine called I think Gomboro was not able to respect it. So that things it touched me, and I said, okay, let me try to understand this. So I had to invest myself in this, and I became really passionate. I became really interested until I started to do my research of how to solve, how to get a solution about this situation, because I realized that it was not only the problem in Kenya, it was everywhere in East Africa. It was a challenge that all the farmers they are facing everywhere in this process uh, of growing of raising a team, and we had to start a research of seeing how we can do. So we come to realize that the biggest challenge that is coming there, it is a resistance of antibiotics to those chickens and other villi. So it became a big it became a source of our research. How can we reduce uh, the rate of death to this chicken, to this in this industry? How can you reduce the rate of death? How can you make those chicken to grow up without taking any antibiotics, for example, or be exposed in those other chemical products? It became really a big challenge, but to the end of the day, what I'm trying to say here, it is that we have reached the level where we have got a product that is 100% organic, and this is second year. We are in trial. Okay, we are trying it, and the result is 98% positive, and I think it will be one of the revolutionary things in this and a product in this industry, because we have find that the rate of chickens have gone down up to like 95% of when you are using those products. Secondly, we have realized that it have helping lot of farmers to reduce it will help a lot of farmers to reduce the cost of the product of using those different products. For example, we have this product we are using. We have tried to pack it in a package of 1 kilo, and that product you will use it only that 1 kilo. It can take care. It can take care of 2,000 chicks for 1 month, just 1 kilo, and that it doesn't have a lot of work to do. It's just to mix it in water and to start. Now you give it to a chicken. They will not need any more vaccine. They will not need any more to reduce the time, and it is giving really the chicken, like those broilers, they grow up with they're very clean, they're very strong, they have energy, they're very energetic, and they are very and the meat is very tasty. So we have been working in this, and I think that from June in this year, we will start to we will open it to everyone in Uganda here. and then we can start do that business. But if there's someone who can need in this group and this space, if there's someone who can need, who can say, okay, I need this, we can try it. Yes, myself, I can organize how to send it, to send the product to him, so he can, or to her, so she can try it. In after 1 month or 2 months, he will give us a testimony in the group and say, this is how I used it, and this is how it is working. Okay, thank you so much for your time.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Jacques. Yeah, if there are any farmers in Uganda, you guys can just follow Mr. Jacques and communicate with him directly. Okay, so the next step after you have prepared your brooder would be to um now go fetch your chicks. If I miss anything, I know that some of the farmers in the space um will definitely add on. Okay, so we people say about women, not all of us can multitask. Okay, so some of us cannot do that at all. So okay, so you don't have to have a buggy, guys. Some of us don't have buggies. You just have to find ways to improvise. Okay, use what you have in order to make your thing a reality, your dream, your vision a reality. um but if you are ordering 10 boxes, they won't fit into a polo. So you need to plan in advance in that regard. I've seen some questions that would leave me feeling like, oh, this is a cringe-worthy moment when people ask on Facebook that, how do you transport a day-old chicks in a sedan or in a small car like a Polo like mine? But and you wonder how come you didn't check how many boxes you can capacitate in your car before ordering. Prepare, prepare. Lack of preparation is planning to fail, basically. So with the small cars, you can what's this thing, recline recline the seats, put your cheeks in there. You can either open the windows a bit or put the aircon on, not too much, but just let there be, proper ventilation of air in the car, depending on the season. Obviously, in winter you can't take your aircon to 36 degrees because day-old chicks are not supposed to feel cold. But when they are still in the box, they are much better um, than once they are outside, because they do warm each other because they're so close to each other. It's 25 per compartment of chicks. So you transport, you must not drive very fast, because your chicks can have split legs due to how they are transported. Reputable hatcheries actually have a nice way of packaging their chicks. I've bought from someone that actually didn't have, those dividers. There was no protection, so the legs would go underneath the dividing boxes. Next thing you find, your chicks are all having like open legs, and they can't walk to the food, they can't walk to the water. Already, that is a loss that is inflicted by somebody else, which is very painful. So you must always check your chicks when you receive them. Open, even if it means you open every single box and you check. Obviously, you won't be able to see all of them, but you just open each and every one of them and check. Just see what is the condition of your chicks when you receive them. You can't just take anything. I've taken eggs without looking. When I got to my house, they were cracked and broken and all of that. So you check when you get there, check, so that you don't get home and find a problem, and then when you want a refund, you are told that no, what if it's how you drove, what if it's whatever. So you check them, before you leave, and then you drive carefully. When you get home, if it's possible, you take a nice shower, wear clean clothes, and then go into your brooder to let out your chickens, because you can transfer your own diseases into the chicken unintentionally. So if you're walking wherever estratweni, you are taking whatever, so take a quick shower, and then you leaving your chickens in a box without taking them out for 15 minutes of a shower is not gonna kill them. What will kill them is you actually not practicing hygiene. That's why Mina, I have a shower. My employees, I don't care. You can tell me you took a shower where you're coming from. When you get here, your overalls are clean. You leave your overalls here. Your overalls are clean. You get in the shower. I provide you with soap, nento yokugcoba, everything, and you get into your clean overalls before you go into my chicken coops, so that you don't make my chicken sick. So yeah, you then that's when I usually would take each and every one of the chicks and help them drink water. It's a lot of work, but it also helps you to keep record, because then you count them. You understand? Each box you count to check if there is really 100 in each box, because it has happened that um I bought chicks. There was a shortage in winter. I bought chicks. One box was short with six chicks. That's six chicks times 9 rand 50. That is my money gone, because now I paid 9 rand 50 for chicks, but they are not there. So and then it also helps you with your stock. You can't assume that they said there's 100 in a box. Can't need it, there's 100, and then there's less. Next thing you accuse your employees of stealing, and the chicks were not the right number from the beginning. So each chick, when you take out of the box, you have to drink. You are counting one up until 100, and then you let them drink the water for 2 hours. The stress pack, allow them to drink. And one thing that you need to know is that broilers are so curious. If you leave them, they will drown in that same water that you're giving them. So you need, Mina, I would usually just chill and watch them. It's also very relaxing, it's cheaper than therapy. So you sit in there and watch them. They are gonna get wet and then feel cold. So that's why the brooder needs to be hot, so that from them playing around in the water, because they're excited, it's their first drink, they don't know ukuthi hayibo kanti kunamanzi kumnandi kanje emhlabeni. So nje you leave them, allow them for 2 hours to drink the water, and then that's when you will introduce the feed thereafter. Even there, you still watch your chickens. You need to watch them while they eat. And then basically, if they are not on sawdust, because sawdust actually blocks the crop. You will think your chicken is eating and getting food, and the food ends here in the crop because there's sawdust or wood shaving blocking. So that's why it's also very important to have the papers. Yes, Norma?
Oh, sorry. I actually wanted to just bring up the point of the chickens drowning, guys. They sell anti-drowning rings. They work perfectly. Like I use anti-drowning rings, but like you said, Amanda, wood chips do tend to get stuck there. So you're gonna have to pay attention and make sure that your chicks are getting water. But the anti-drowning rings will also stop your chicks from drowning.
Yeah, I should look into that, because I've seen I on YouTube I saw a guy place these small rocks, but I thought to myself, okay, so I guess he washes them, and then how often do you wash them? Won't those rocks get contaminated? So he would put rocks just under the water to ensure that his chickens don't drown. So there's multiple ways that you can look into, or to avoid your chickens drowning. And especially if you were to place your chicks very late in the evening, you are going to go to bed and you leave your chicks there, you find them drowned in water. So maybe placing early is better, then you watch them, and all of that. Yes, Abuti?
Okay, I have a quick question on that. I've never experienced a chick that drowns. I've always thought that because there's different size of drinkers, they've catered for that. Does it happen that a chick can drown in a chick drinker? Because those chick drinkers are quite small, but I can see how it can drown in a drinker. So I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, it is possible in the small ones, especially if maybe one uh is next to the other one or blocking it or whatever. Well, they usually drown in the big drinkers. In the small drinkers, they just get wet and maybe get cold and maybe become weak and then stay there in the water. You know that anything is possible with broilers, especially. Yes, KM.
Good evening, farmers. It's my first time on a space, and I'm grateful for this opportunity to learn. It's actually an honor to be amongst you guys. There were several issues that I think they need to be brought under the spotlight. Table Shaker spoke earlier about the importance of ventilation. As much as heating is crucial to the comfort of the beds, equally so is to ensure that the atmosphere within the coop is balanced. You might be surprised that you have your heating system on point, but remember that there are droppings that these chicks produce, which ultimately produce carbon monoxide, which could lead to other diseases later in the growth of the chicks. Then there's the issue of heating that we've been emphasizing and stressing on since we started. It's equally important that the placement of your heating source you could have one infrared light placed in the middle of the house, then you end up between your is your house. I know I have friends who might have a house with a capacity of 2,000 beds, but when the chicks arrive, then they compartmentalize the house so that they don't lose heating throughout the house when you are only trying to focus in one specific space. Which also talk to, when we talk spacing, it also talk to the placement of feeders and drinkers to avoid crowding. Depending on the number of chicks you are placing within a space, you need to make sure that there's sufficient drinkers and feeders so that you don't have crowding. This is where at the end of your cycle you find chicks that are cut at the back or at the behind due to them trying to fight their way towards drinkers and feeders. So I think those are. Lastly, Sesnoma made a very important point about stress pack. I think Table Shaker as well. Just to highlight the purpose for that. Remember when we collect our chicks from hatcheries, depending on the distance that you are traveling, chicks tend to get stressed, ultimately die when you get to your coop. Preferably, you should make sure that you have proper transportation. Unfortunately, being Africans, we are still starting out in this industry. We don't have it. We're still driving our polos and whatnot. It's important that as soon as they get in, the stress pack is to try and calm them from the point they were taken out from the incubators into the boxes, into your car, traveling on all sorts of kind of roads, all sorts of kind of distance. The stress pack is crucial to make sure that when they come into the brooder, then they get relaxed and acclimatized to to the new space that they are in. Thank you.
Yeah, quickly just to add on there with regards to the stress pack. I think it's very important to actually not only just mention how important stress pack is, but what's in stress pack, guys. Stress pack has got electrolytes, right? I'm not sure if you guys know ikoro, it's sugar water. It's water that is supposed to, give them electrolytes and enough adequate sugar to up their energy that would have been, drained during transporting, the change of environment, from the fact that they've gone from an incubator, now they're in a box, and now they're in your car, and then they're about to go into the brooder itself. So I think, guys, on top of just researching, okay, this is what I need to do, find out why you're doing it. Know why. So know why, what's in stress pack, and why should I be using stress pack, as opposed to, I'd like for us to move farming. Farming shouldn't be tick box exercises. I'm ticking a box, done it, ticking a box. And no, guys, know exactly why you are engaging in that exercise, engaging in making sure there's enough ventilation and preventing heart attacks. If you see that your chickens are panting, chickens are like human beings, I'd like to believe. If you see them panting, it's too hot. Even you, when it's hot, after you've just run, like, I don't know how fit you are, you'll just start panting. A dog does that, where I don't know, animals are like that, actually, because we're also animals. So paying attention to your chickens, but also knowing, okay, stress pack is good for that. And that's why you'll understand the importance of stress pack.
Thank you so much for emphasizing on that, Noma. Um, you know, there are times when, especially with the weather, you I would actually end up using stress pack even if it's for 2 weeks straight, because i- i- when it's too hot, it has vitamin C, so it cools them down. When it's too cold, stress pack is everything. I mean, even if you wanted to use stress pack for 21 days, it's okay, because before you vaccinate them, you need to give them stress pack, because the vaccination is basically you giving them a disease, so you're stressing them out. And after you vaccinate them, you must give them stress pack as well. So yeah, basically, I think now I will open the floor for questions uh, before we carry on. Yes, Mr. By Black.
Okay, I just wanted to mention about collecting of the chicks, like you have said. So now, when I started farming, I always preferred to collect the chicks in my car, which is a private car, because I wanted to make sure that they are transported in a very like correct temperature and so. So this is what happens. If you look at the hatchery guys, it's best to let them deliver chicks to your house if possible, because the vehicles that they are traveling with are really made for the comfort of the chicks. So if you can't collect them, you gotta be careful of a few things. First of all, the time of collection. Um, you know, like I said, I'm talking based on experience, and unfortunately, these experiences, things that happen to people that I know. Once again, I'm mentioning this for educational purposes. One of my brothers collected chicks when it was very hot, and about 150 died in transit because it was too hot in a buggy, and he had to stop constantly under trees and stuff like that, and he could see that they are struggling. Mind you, I've always advocated for collecting your chicks in a closed car if you can, because you're able to control your aircon or your fan, if you may. But then be very careful of the time that you're collecting them on. If possible, look at the weather forecast. I know those guys are never honest, but just have an idea of, is it gonna be too hot when you're collecting them, or what? Just be careful of that. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that. So it's important to, and don't get a guy with an open buggy to deliver your chicks. So some people say no, they know how to drive well with chicks in the buggy and stuff. But I don't advocate for that. You can't go collect my chicks in an open buggy. A lot of things can happen. I mean, honestly, I don't have to mention that the friction when the guy is driving, the noise also, which is stressing out the chicks before you arrive. And should anything happen as far as the rain is concerned, I mean, these are losses that can really devastate a farmer. So be very careful of that. And then when it comes to brooding, I'm gonna end here. When it comes to brooding, if you are using things like coal, guys, or even that bio brick, because I've used it as well, be careful that your brooding mechanism doesn't spill onto your pine shavings, because pine shavings can easily catch fire. So don't do that. Just be careful of that, at least, because now imagine a coal, it has this thing. It's like it does a little bit of an explosion, like a firework, and then it drops. And then if it drops on your pine shaving, it's a fire starter, and it can really. I've seen pictures, horrible pictures, on Facebook of people who have lost chicks to fire. It was very, very disappointing. Okay, House Table Shaker, I will be joining the guys who are talking about feed production right now. I'm one of the guys who's supposed to do that. I think it's going to help all of us in the near future. And thank you once again for a great space.
Thank you so much, Abuti. We'll come join that space. We're also wrapping up here. Um, okay, so I'm opening the floor to questions, guys. Just signal if you have anything that you feel we didn't cover, and I'll put you up as a speaker. Another thing that I will just add while we wait for you guys to signal if you want to ask questions is don't go fetching chickens that are already sick. I'm also trying to see if there are any DMs on my site coming from people. Okay. There is a guy that went to buy chicks from a lady and thought, okay, because they paid at a certain store, they would be able to get chicks that are not sick, or chickens, because they were already, I think, at 3 weeks. When he got to the farm, he could tell that the chickens are undergrown and they are sick, but he still took those chickens because the lady then threatened that there is no refund because she held the chickens for him when other people wanted them. Don't ever allow anyone to put you or to make you feel like you're in a corner like that, especially if at least you have the protection of the store. Unlike if you paid extra 20, you paid at the store and you know where they are. Don't ever allow that, because now this guy with his next batch of day old chicks, he basically brought a disease to his farm. Those chickens, the baby, all those chickens that he bought died, 70 of them. And now he bought 200-day-old chicks, and they are now having the same disease that those chickens were having. So he basically brought a disease to his farming space. That's why I'm not a fan of buying grown chicks already, unless I'm buying from a person whereby I will physically go and see how their farm environment is and how their chickens are. Day old chicks, you can also be able to spot when they have inborn diseases like mycoplasma, whereby the chicken or the chicks would be basically gasping for air. So it would seem as though it's too hot. So if you peep in the box and you see that your chickens are seeming like they're gasping for air, you should know and expect that they are going to be sick when they get to your farm. 3 days after you place them, you will probably start seeing some of them having swollen eyes, some of them struggling to breathe, some of them will start dying. And you would the hatchery's fault, because sometimes it's the parent stock. Actually, inborn diseases like mycoplasma are parent stock diseases that when I hatch, I don't know that these eggs actually have this disease. And then, maybe it will start manifesting at your farm, which would be unfortunate. And it would mean that that's why report back or feedback from the people that you supply is important, Because if they tell you that no, this chicken is having this type of disease, then it would mean that I need to stop buying eggs from those people, because it means that the parent stock is sick. Okay, so those are the type of things that you should try and look out for. But otherwise, we do have a space where we covered diseases. Our second space, we covered poultry diseases. It's on YouTube. You can check out Makwala YouTube recording of poultry diseases. We are going to cover another one because that time was not even enough. There are so many diseases to cover, so many experiences, because the book will never tell you or teach you enough more than physical experience. So yeah, guys, and we're here. Okay, we're here. If you guys are having problems, you can't wait for the next space before you can come and ask Amanda. My chickens are doing this. I'll be there. I'm always there. Everybody knows on the timeline. I'm very helpful. I'm very not very clued up, but I have a bit of knowledge when it comes to poultry diseases, and I'm always willing to help in that regard. I don't know, guys. Norma, it seems like people are covered, or maybe it's too much information. Information overload is also a thing, you know.
Information overload. Sorry guys. So yeah, I think we've covered quite a bit. I mean, it seems you guys don't have any questions, but I also wanted to actually emphasize just on the biosecurity side. I'm not sure if you guys have been to like an auction house, or when you drive into your auction, normally your car drives through like a dip, like a dip solution. And what I normally do is, especially when I've come back from picking up chicks, or like, not even especially, almost every car here gets sprayed with like a solution, with Virokill, because you can bring on diseases onto your farm, guys. Like, you can do it, and in fact, not even you can do it unintentionally. We do it unintentionally. So please take the extra steps to make sure that you get rid of any risk of infection, because that can really destroy your business. Trust me, I've been there, done that. You don't want a virus on the farm. But yeah, I think we covered everything. Placing of the chicks, where you should buy your chicks. But guys, we're always here. I might not respond when you want me to respond to your DM, but I will get to it as quick as I can. Most of our days are very confusing, very stressful, very long, very. Being a farmer is unique. Like I said, we have a calling, guys. It's actually quite hard work. It's not as easy as people think it is, especially if you're doing it full time, like some of us are. We rarely have time, but we are here to help. We like, most of us actually share experiences. As I experience something, I normally try and type it out in my timeline, be like, yo, this happened to me. Just in case it could have happened to someone else, and whatever takeaways I get from there, you could actually learn from and not make the same mistake.
Yeah, like Norma said, send the DMs. And guys, be very specific when you send a DM. Don't send a hi. I do not respond to highs. I honestly have no time to respond
Oh,
to
I small talk.
oh hi. Oh hi. Just say hello and a greet. Mina ngumuntu abantu abaphansi. If angibingelela, I get really offended. You must greet me. You say hello Amanda, or hello table shaker, daddy 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 da. Leave the question, I will come back with a response. Okay, it's always better like that. All the highs in my DMs have never gotten a response, and they never will. Okay, siyajola, abanye bethu bashadile, abonoma bashadile, guys. So nje, we're not waiting for highs in the DMs. Okay, Mfundo, do you have a question? Hello.
Hello. Yes, I have a question. Um, I was supposed to start my things. I think like start this poultry farming last year, but I delayed due to some personal reasons. So this month I've already prepared my coop and everything. I've placed the wooden shaving and everything. But my question is to direct, what else can you put there to make sure Woodsy biosecurity is maintained? Because my fear is I also have a day job yes, I'm gonna quit, I think, in a space of 2 months to focus fully on my poultry. What else can I add in terms of to minimize more disease and mortality and all these things? Thank you.
Okay, Mfundo. I would like to give you advice. I don't know if maybe you have already made a decision, but if you can get an honest employee or family member, or when you knock off you actually go to where your chickens are, I would advise that you don't quit. Farming is hard, farming needs money, unless you have money tucked away somewhere. But don't quit just yet. Keep your day job if it will allow you to be able to see your business grow. Okay, because someone said the best fertilizer of the land is the feet of the owner. So keep that in mind, but also don't just leave abruptly, because you'll be left without money and you will hate farming. But have where you can dip the feet at the door. Norma usually says that she even requests that her employees actually leave the boots inside the chicken coop. So if there's a space by the door of the chicken coop, you walk to the door, your flip flops, you leave them there. You enter the chicken coop, you put your feet in the boots that are already in the chicken coop, and then you do what you need to do. But if you don't have the space, but I think it's better to not work with the boots, dip the boots, leave them at the door. Outside the door, even is fine. Dip them, go in. I think maybe change your deep water once every 3 days is also, I think it's sufficient. And like we said, oh guys, another thing that I usually do is I mix a bottle of viral kill. The instructions are there in the bottle. I mix like a spray bottle of viral kill that I would spray probably maybe two, 3 times in a week, maybe, or even if it's once in a week, especially when they're not sick, just for control measures. It clears the air in the chicken coop. So you just spray in the coop, and over them. So even if the viral kill goes over them, it's okay. It's not a problem. They can drink viral kill. They can eat viral kill. It's actually quite good for them. So basically, have that spray as well, whereby it's precautionary measures. Unless they are sick. If they are sick now, you have to start spraying every 20 minutes and all of that jazz. But when they're not sick, once a week, I usually just spray once a week, and they're pretty much okay. So I don't know, he's lost, but he will probably get his response in the YouTube recording. I don't know, Norma, if there's anything else that you felt that maybe he should add on in that regard.
Yes, I think, Virokill, the fact that you missed, like, I like to use that knapsack, and I missed the air, like you said, with Virokill. But like you said, Virokill is actually not as dangerous. It depends. Anything is dangerous depending on how much you use, right? So, and another trick that I also learned from another farmer is when they are not sick, when you've kept your cycle in good health, and is once in a while I'll put a drop of Pyrokill. Like, it's not even, I can't even give you a measurement and say I can say maybe a teaspoon in 70 liters of water. Not even less than a teaspoon, a drop of Pyrokill in their water. Because remember, it is virus killer. So it almost like it will go and kill whatever worms that they could have, and etc. Mara, ningahambi bese niphuzisa iy'nkukhu zenu half a bottle of Virokill, and you kill your chickens, and you're like, hey, I heard Noma say in a space that I can make my chickens can drink Virokill. No, guys, everything in small doses. Everything in absolutely small doses. And like Amanda said, I don't know if you're a farmer, every time when you're connected to your animals, it's almost impossible for you to intentionally harm them. You'll stop yourself. You'll have that in you to be like, no, 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 I'm overdoing here. So be connected with your animals, know exactly what they need, and you'll know, okay, it's time for me to give them stress pack. Like Amanda said, you can use stress pack throughout the 21 days. In fact, I use stress pack throughout the whole cycle, because even when they're old, those things, sometimes they stressed. They are stressed due to various reasons, due to heat, can be too much, it's too hot, it's too cold, it's too windy outside, it's raining, and you've got mazenge, and it's making noise. It's anything. You need to just always control your stress levels of your chickens, because they can die. In fact, broilers die from stress. So just make sure you have stress pack. Stress pack is like wood chips to me. It's like having Virakill. It's like a couple of things that I absolutely cannot run out of. So please, guys, before you start, make sure, and gentlemen, please don't quit your job. Yo, I quit my job and got straight into farming. I'm still alive. I'm surviving, but trust me, you can make mistakes, and mistakes are common. And Buy Black actually said something important, that certain things in farming you only learn after you've experienced them. There is no book that's going to tell you about chickens having a heart attack and it being too hot, and you'll see them panting, and then they topple on their backs, and then they have heart attacks and die. And eventually some of these things you can never research. So please have another income source, my brother. Do not just quit your job. Unless if you're quitting your job and you know you're going to be fine and you've got room to make mistakes, room to lose money. We lose money in farming all the time. This is the reality of farming, because there is so many macro factors, unforeseen factors, the things that happen outside that we cannot, most of the time, cannot control. So please make sure before you get into farming, unemali, guys. Because lento leyo ukuthi, hey, I've heard some people actually talk and be like, yeah, I'm gonna plant this and then I'm gonna make X amount per bunch and then the profit. The environment, Mother Nature will shock you guys. Please, farming is expensive. Cannot stress this enough, but you can actually make a proper profitable business in which you can live off of. Let's not actually discourage people and say you can't live off of farming. You can do that, but make sure you've got enough room and time to make those mistakes, because they will cost you. But the whole point is that you must just never give up. Don't give up. You made a mistake, learn from it, don't make it again, and keep it moving.
Yes, Cam Poultry.
Thanks, TS. My last parting shot, and I'm taking it from the last input that the brilliant two ladies have just made now. For those who are still trying to come into the industry, start small. The advice that has been given here, the cautions that have been given to all of us, it will be a day in hell when you lose. I mean, raising 1,000 chicks from day one to 6 weeks, you are looking no less than 30,000. So if you don't have enough information and you go out, come in and think, look, this is easy. Ugogo bekakhulisa inkukhu ekhaya. I've seen them do. So start small, even as small as 10. Just understand the dynamics that go into raising broilers, all the nitty-gritty that might go in there. It really helps for you to have an appreciation and understanding of how it really means to grow chickens. Otherwise, you'll go in at 100, 500 chickens, and you lose your hair just from seeing one bird fall after the other, day after day after day. And I think I echo the sentiments raised by you two ladies about my chief. Don't quit your day job. Start small, grow into it to the point where you feel you are comfortable. You understand. You won't understand everything in broiler chickens. Even the grades are still learning. They're still evolving. They're still developing new mechanisms and techniques to grow chickens effectively using optimum systems and whatnot. So my parting shot is that if you haven't started and you wish to start small. The capital outlay required for growing chickens, especially if you want to scale up from 100 and above, it's quite a lot of money. So to take whatever that is your last penny and invest in this thing when you haven't went through the pains, the growing pains of raising 2, 3, 10 chickens at a time, it will cost you in the long run. So as much as the information is there, as much as people are there to give you advice, please start small and ask questions, grow into the business gradually until you get your footing. Thank you, ladies, again for the space.
Thank you so much. Couldn't have said it better, guys. Biggie, Biggie Mark Mir. Take it easy, take it slow. Some of us are not paying rent, So nje, just look at everything that you need to do. Everything requires money, and lack thereof causes so much frustration. I think maybe we have covered everything. If you guys have any more questions, our DMs are open, like we have agreed. And the space is being recorded. It will be on YouTube, and once it's up, we will retweet. Just check the Poultry Spaces hashtag, and you will find the recordings shared by us. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We are open to suggestions because the spaces are for you and to serve you. So we are open to suggestions as to what you guys would like us to discuss. We already know our challenges, and in our spaces, we usually have people that we invite to be speakers to educate us. So you guys know the type of challenges that you're facing, and you know the type of DMs that you usually send to some poultry farmers and maybe not get a response. Bring those questions to us. We can cover a whole space on that. Yes, Mpumi, before we close, you can shoot your shot.
Thanks, Table Shaker, and apologies. I believe you're closing off. Really appreciate the space, guys. A quick question on my side. I've also just recently started with broiler farming, and I wanted to find out. I mean, more so from buy black business is he mentioned stuff around various heating systems, and I wanted to pose a question to our fellow poultry farmers around what is the best method, right? I mean, right now it's summer, so we're relatively okay with one source, but winter's creeping in, and I'm afraid that my setup is as well set up as it is. I don't have the right heating system. I heard about coal. I'm hearing about gas. I'm hearing quite a number of things, and at the moment, you don't want to invest everything in a lot of heating systems. So which one works best at this stage?
Oh, Bumi, that's a very good question. That's a brilliant question, and dare I say, in the most loose, I don't know, yonke insipho iyawasha. And let me explain to you, right? Whatever works for you or will work for you, right? I can say for my area right now, when winter starts, I use last winter I used coal and infrareds, right? In Baula, right? But now I've just discovered biobrick. So the whole thing with farming is that you have to adapt or die, adapt or die, keep it moving, and that's why Buy Black has tried all these different heat sources. Do not be stuck on one thing, because that one thing can work for a short while and then it doesn't work the next winter. I don't know if I'm making sense. So I try as much as I can to be open minded, to understand that there is different heat sources. Also, ungazibopheli entweni eyi-one, because if it fails, then what? So be open minded and be receiving enough to say, okay, I can actually try coal today. Tomorrow I can use a biobrick, but I've got the biobricks, you know what I mean? Just in case my coals don't work. Or I've got the coals just in case ESCOM, decides to take the electricity. Be adapt, keep it moving. Just make sure you are maintaining heat and ventilation in your coops.
Yes, thanks for that, Norma. Absolutely correct. Um, Another thing that I would advise is if your brooder is one of those big chicken houses, then I would suggest that you actually have brooding circles. Be it's that aluminium bendy angazi lisenke thingy. You make circles out of that, and then you have two infrared lights dropping into each of them, and then angithi diameter, it must fit 200 chicks. So you put uh 100 one infrared light for each 100 of your chickens in a brooding circle. So that way you contain the heat within the circle. I've seen that they also make brooding circles out of bricks. So you just make ama circles, ngama bricks in your chicken house, and then you put your chickens in one circle instead of them roaming around the house. So that way you sort of contain the heat. There's several ways of heating up a chicken coop. And the unfortunate part is that in winter, costs actually do go up of raising chickens because you have to manipulate all these heating methods. Whether you're using gas, whether you're using electricity, you use more of it. Whether you're using coal or imbawula, it means that you have to continuously order amalahle. That nothing is for free. So all of that and adds on to the work that your employees are putting in because now they have to clean up amalahle every morning. So that's one thing that we also need to understand, that unfortunately costs in winter do go up. That's why you find that a lot of poultry farmers close shop in winter, especially in very cold areas, because as cold as it is and as much money that you put in, they are still slow to grow in winter, unfortunately, because they are broiler ikhuliswa ukushisa nokuphuza amanzi and the proper ventilation. So they get sick, they have ascites, water belly, because ventilation is not that great. Even if you have well ventilated house, as long as it's natural ventilation and not these fancy ones, Zabo Goldie and all of that, you would still probably suffer from not having enough ventilation, which will lead to ascites. That's why they emphasize that heat, yes, but still keep them in the ventilated house, because at 5 weeks, when you open your chickens that are dying facing up, you will find yellow water in their belly. That is called ascites. So there's so many things to look into. I think maybe you could start by trying out having the bio bricks. Bio bricks have worked for some people, as long as you have the proper measures to make sure that you're not gonna burn down your house. Have backup, yeah, gas. Gas heating is actually quite warm. Like everything. Let's not bombard. Let's not bombard you guys. Okay, guys. I don't know if you guys feel satisfied now. If we can close the space. And yeah, like I said, I will come up with a topic based on the type of questions that I would receive. Okay, guys, going once, going twice, gone. All right, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great week ahead. Or it's, yeah, it's still Tuesday. Have a great week. Have a blessed rest of January, and let's work hard. Let's push